Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen, the Get Some podcast. And my guest this week is...
This motherfucker Gary.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. Let's start off with my schedule. As always, this weekend is huge. San Jose, San Francisco, Oakland, Sacramento, Stockton, Fresno, Eureka, Half Moon Bay. Filming my special Friday and Saturday at the San Jose Improv. I'm going to be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm going to be there for 3 nights. But we're recording on Friday and Saturday. The title of the special is going to be On My Own. So come out. If you just want to see the greatest comedy special in the history of specials. If not, don't come. But if you want to see, I mean, it's going to go down as the greatest of all time. I would come to San Jose Improv this weekend. It's a beautiful theater. Crowd's going to be great. So, yeah, Friday and Saturday, San Jose Improv. And then next week, November 9th to the 12th, I'm in Columbus, Ohio at the Funny Bone. And then November 16th, I'm in Detroit, Michigan at the Motor City Casino. November 17th, I'm in Atlantic City at Harrah's Casino. November 18th, I'm in Baltimore at Maryland Live Casino. And then Thanksgiving weekend, I'm in Naples, Florida, Captain Brian Off the Hook Comedy Club. And then December 1st, I'm in Kansas City at the T-Mobile Center with Eddie Griffin, Cedric the Entertainer, D.L. Hughley, and Felipe Esparza. That's going to be huge. December 2nd and 3rd, I'm in Atlanta at the Uptown Comedy Theater. Let's just finish out the year. We're already going. Might as well finish it out. December 8th through the 10th, I'm in West Nyack at Levity Live. And then I'm off for a week. My daughter's graduating from North Carolina A&T, so I'm going to go to her graduation in Greensboro, North Carolina. We have that. Then I'll be in Denver, Colorado, December 21st to the 23rd at the Improv. And then December 29th, I'm in San Antonio at the Tobin Center. And December 30th and 31st, as I do every December 30th and 31st, we will be at the, what is it now? The Texas Trust Theater. They've changed. Since I've been doing this, this is the 8th year I'll be in Dallas for New Year's Eve. Well, COVID year we didn't do it because it was shut down. But other than that, yeah, this will be a set. So out of the last 8 years, the last 7, I've been in Dallas. And they've changed the name of this theater about 4 times. It was the Verizon. Then it just was the theater. Now it's the Texas Trust Theater. And it was something else before that. But this year, it's the Texas Trust Theater. It's the same building in Grand Prairie. Beautiful venue. My favorite show of the year. Bringing in big. Got a bunch of people on the show. A gang of comics. Dion Cole, Country Wayne, Lunell, my guy T-Robe. Dude, we got more people we're adding. There's so many. I can't remember everybody. It's going to be dope, though. I'm looking forward to it. So that's where I'll be. Now, this past weekend, I was in, first time ever, I was in Stockton, California. And Friday, I was in L.A. at L.A. Live. So shouts out to everybody on the show, Lavelle Crawford, Arnez J, Guy Torrey. So, yeah, we had some good shows. So that was a fun weekend. And then Friday, I mean Sunday, I stayed an extra day, went to the 49ers game against the Bengals. I'm like, Joe Burrow, baby. He's so different healthy. The team's different healthy. It was a beautiful thing. So the 49ers got this thing called the BNY Lounge, where it literally sits right behind the 49ers bench on one side and the Bengals bench on the other side. And it's just this big, like, all the food's free, but it's everything. They got sushi, they got shrimp, they got burgers and hot dogs, they got an open bar. So I don't know how much people pay to go to this lounge for season ticket holders or whatever, but it's great. It's a great game day experience. But you can go outside the lounge and stand right behind the bench. You're probably about less than 10 yards, probably about 5-6 yards from the whether the 49ers bench or the Bengals bench. So I never got a ticket. I stood back there and watched the whole game. And I saw Orlando Brown Jr.'s mom start cutting up with her, and her sister was there. I had some friends of mine there, met some 49er fans. That was cool. Everybody was cool. Met this one guy. He had some kind of, he had some terminal, some disease, and I don't want to say the wrong disease. And he told my friend what it was, and I caught it halfway, and he goes, this is like a bucket list for me. An older gentleman, and it was so cool just to talk to him, and he was so happy. And I was like, man, it goes back to what I said a couple months ago, what football does. Like, his bucket list was just to go to some football games, and he said, I couldn't miss this one. I'd never been to San Francisco/San Jose, and it was cool just to sit next to him and talk to him about football and everything else, and the fact that he might not have a lot of time left. I mean, it just goes back, man. Football is something special, baby. It's something special. Now, before the game, this is what's funny. So there's a guy in the 49ers. I don't know his actual job title or something with player personality. His name's Austin Moss. Cool-ass dude. Great guy, right? So he came to see me last year in San Jose at the Improv. And he sent me the olive branch like, yo, because I'll leave him tickets when I come in town. He goes, you want to go to a Niners game? Let me know. And I told him last year, I said, well, I know we play you guys next year. I'm going to go to that game. And I didn't know the date yet, but he goes, I got you. So here we are. A year later, Austin, man, God just took such good care of me. Like, little things. Got me a parking pass. You ain't got to give me no parking pass. Brother got me a parking pass. And then he got me and my two friends into the game. We got field passes. And then he got us in the FNY lounge. And he was like, you want tickets? I go, no, I'd rather just stay here. So Austin was sticking to moving. He's handling other celebs and people that were coming to the game. And he says, man, I'll be back. He got me paired up with this security guy. This big brother too. And he goes, you're with him. I'll be back in about 20 minutes. Just stay near him and he'll tell you where to go. I was like, all right. So my friends, I went to the bathroom. So I was standing by myself for like 15 minutes. So I was starting to get a few people asking for pictures and stuff. And then finally, the 49ers was about to come out of the tunnel. And it's weird. Their tunnel is like behind the Bengals bench. And I guess when they built the stadium, I got all this information, inside information. When they built the stadium originally, where the visiting teams are is where the 49ers was going to be. But Harbaugh was the coach at that time. And the way the shade comes in, it hits one side of the stadium and slowly gets to the other side. So one side of the stadium is in the shade most of the game, and it's cool. The other side, it's like 20 degrees hotter. So I guess Harbaugh was like, no. We on the other side. We're going to be cool the whole game. The other team's going to have to deal with this heat. And it got a little toasty, I ain't going to lie. And, the Bay Area, there's like a 40-degree difference from the shade to the sun. So it was a little toasty on the Bengals sideline, which was originally, when the stadium was built, supposed to be the 49ers sideline, which was smart. I get it. So he says, yo, G, come over here and stand. So now I'm not standing next to the stands. I'm standing right behind the Bengals bench. That 6-yard window right there, I'm right there, right behind the Bengals bench. And a few years ago, I was at a Bengals game, and where the friends and family section are, I was standing there, and there's a railing, right? I was on the other side of the railing, and their security guy goes, hey, man, you got to get on the other side of the railing. You can't be on this side. So, oh, my bad. So I got on the other side of the railing. And then Marvin Jones Jr., wide receiver, cool dude. I think he's with the Lions now. He came out with some of his family members, and they was like, yo, G, can we get a pic? And I was like, yeah. So I get on the other side of the railing and take a pic with Marvin Jones Jr. and his family, and that security guy goes, I just told you, not on this side of the railing. You're out of here. And he, grabbed the cop, and they kicked me out of the friends and family section. So I was like, oh, what just happened? I didn't want to go on the other side of the railing. I got to ask for a picture from a player. So Carlos Dunlop and his assistant, Tiffany, they call me. They go, where you at? I go, I just got kicked out. And they go, shut up. I go, yeah. And they go, hold on, we're going to get our security to come get you. The same guy that kicked me out was the one that had to let me back in the stadium. This is like 7-8 years ago. And he literally told Carlos Tiffany, he goes, oh, shit. He goes, I just kicked some guy out that might have been your guy. And then I came walking back up, and he had this he had his shoulders like this. And he goes, I didn't know. I go, I was trying to tell you. I was telling I'm not a prima donna, dude. And it was that moment like, do I make a big fuss or no? I was like, no, I'm not going to make a big fuss. I just got kicked out and I got let back in. That same security guy, he's still with the Bengals. He sees me standing there where I'm not supposed to be standing. And I know this, but the 49er security guy told me to stand there. He got this shitty grin. He goes, hey, man. I go, dude, I know. I go, before you say anything, that guy told me to stand here. He goes, all right. He goes, since he told you to stand here, he goes, technically you're not supposed to be here. He goes, but I'm not going to say nothing. He goes, but technically you're not supposed to be here. And I go, dude, I get it. I didn't try to come over here. He moved me over here. Fast forward, we laugh about it. We're talking about the Dunlop situation again. This other 49er security guy comes up and goes, hey, man, you can't be here. And I go, oh, my God, deja vu. He's about to kick me out. So the big brother that told me to stand behind the Bengals bench, he's now talking to somebody else, dealing with coordinating people, right? And I go, no, he told me to stand here. He goes, I don't care who told you to stand here. He goes, you can't be here. And the big brother came back and was like, hey, man, I told him to stand here. Don't tell him to go nowhere. I told him to stand here. And the same dude that was just like in my ass, he goes, oh, I ain't know. And his hands up. And I was like, bro, I just told you. So this is what I got to say. I know where I'm at in this entertainment business. I know where I'm at as far as like quote unquote celeb status. I'm big in some circles. I'm not in others. Clearly, with some NFL security, I'm anonymous, and some I'm not. And it's funny because I just want everybody to know, I'm never gonna go and stand somewhere on my own. I'll just let you know. I'm not gonna be like, don't you know who I am? I'm not gonna just go stand behind the Bengals bench or any other team's bench unless someone told me to stand there. I'm not that guy. So it's just funny to me, like, I don't know what. I'm not mad at anybody, because I get the security guy was doing his job. But sometimes just take a second and listen to the person you're talking to. I think you could tell when somebody's bullshitting within 30 seconds of talking to somebody. And you know if they know what they're talking about or not. So, and don't come in on 10 all the time if you're security. Sometimes you could come in on 3 or 4 and you'll get more done. But when you come in on 10 and somebody's trying to talk to you on 3, it's very hard to have a conversation that comes out copacetic for everybody. But the security guy came in on 10 in San Francisco. I don't care who told you to stand here. And thank God, when the guy somewhat yelled at me, the big brother, I wish I knew his name. And Austin, if you see the podcast, please, I want to leave him some tickets to the shows this weekend. The head security guy. I always need to be friends with guys like that. And when he went over, hey, man, I told him to stand here. And funny was the guy when he put his hands up. Oh, I ain't know. I was like, I just told you. So just so you know, I'm never going to stand anywhere on my own like I'm not supposed to be there. When I go to stadiums, where do you need me to stand? And that's where I'll stand. I'm not going to try to just go anywhere, because the first time I ever got field passes in my life is when I learned. It was funny. It was so long ago. Could have been 16 years ago. So my guy worked in the front office with the Houston Texans, and he left me in, I think it might have been a preseason game, actually. He left me field passes, and I never got field passes before. I thought field passes meant, motherfucker, you on the field. So I literally am walking in the middle of the field, and I just never forget as long as I live. Keyshawn Johnson was at the 50. I believe the quarterback was Brad Johnson at the time. This was like the year after they won the Super Bowl, the Buccaneers. The next year after they won the Super Bowl. And I'm sitting there right next to the wide receivers who's at the 50 run the routes, right next to the quarterback throwing the ball, just looking. And I'm just by myself. And my boy that left me the tickets, Tony Wiley, he calls my phone and goes, what the are you doing on the 50? And I went, what? He goes, you can't be on the field. And I go, no, you let me field passes. He goes, that's sideline, not on the field. So as he's calling my phone, I look over, and this police officer's got his the asp thing that flicks out, that steel thing that could break bones. He's like, what tank? And he's walking towards me. And I like the cop. I said, I am so sorry. I didn't know. I'm going to the sideline. And the cop just like walked me there and gave me a look. And I was just like, So from that moment on, I knew, yeah. Field passes don't mean on the field; they mean on the sideline. And that was the one time I went where I wasn't supposed to be, and it was my own fault. I didn't know. So yes, shouts out to the big brother that I don't know who you are that let me stay on the sidelines. It was just a cool experience being that close to the game and everything. And the funny thing is, like Orlando Brown Jr., his mom, she's telling me and my friends the whole game. She goes, my baby better come up to me after the game. Before he goes to anybody else, he better come up to me. And I said, what if he doesn't? And she's like, ooh, I'm going to box his ear. I'm going to grab him by the ear and do something. I said, I kind of hope he doesn't come over to you. I'd like to see that. And then sure enough, it's like 30 seconds left in the game. Everybody's starting to go to the field to shake hands with the other team. We're taking a knee. He beelined it to his mom, gave her a hug, everything, and then went back on the field with the other players. But I was like, that was cool. It was cool just to watch the game next to a parent like that. That I don't know. It's just a cool experience. All in all, and to stand next to the gentleman that I guess he doesn't have a lot of time left. This was like a bucket list thing for him. That was cool to have that conversation with him. So it was just cool. Everything about it. So the other things I want, this is gonna be sports heavy this week. Just give you a heads up in a roundabout way. But I saw Flava Flav sang the national anthem at the Milwaukee Bucks game, and then I saw people going in on him, and I watched it, and I watched the whole thing. And he didn't do that bad. I know people were trying to bag and be like, anybody, I guess they're letting anybody sing the national anthem. What I liked about it was it wasn't perfect by any means, but in no way did he disrespect the national anthem. Did he try to make a mockery of it? He made it Flava Flav. He did it his way, had his little flair to it. And, nobody's going to ever say he's Adele or Chris Stapleton. We're not going to make that mistake. But it wasn't terrible, and he held some notes, and the crowd seemed to be into it. And I liked what Flav said afterwards. He goes, I just wanted to do it, basically. He goes, I don't care what people think. I knew I was probably going to get some criticism, but I just always want to sing a national anthem, and I got the shot, and so I did it. And I was like, yeah, how do you be mad at somebody like that? Because national anthem, and he didn't forget any of the words. Listen, we've all seen those. Now, you can go to YouTube and you can splice together all the national anthems where they forgot the words or, try to make a mockery. Like Roseanne, she tried to make fun of it. And then Carl Lewis was probably one of the worst ones ever. Fergie's wasn't good. But at the same time, some of the best moments we've ever had in music history was people singing the national anthem. Whitney Houston, Chris Stapleton, Marvin Gaye. And the thing about all the three people I just mentioned, Marvin Gaye, Chris Stapleton, and Whitney Houston, they all made it theirs. Chris Stapleton made it the way Chris Stapleton would sing it. Whitney Houston just blew it out of the water. And then Marvin Gaye, God, he made the national anthem dang near a panty dropper. I was like, oh, my God, dude. Women are about to sleep with people just because of the national anthem. You could play that and set the mood. If you got a chick over your house, put on National Anthem by Marvin Gaye. That's how he made it his. But Flava Flav just made it his. And I wasn't mad at it. I was watching. I was like, this ain't terrible. And the players seemed to be into it. So I thought it was a cool thing. And shouts out to all the Milwaukee Bucks fans. Like, they were really into it, gave them a nice ovation. And then, the camera guys, they'll pan in the crowd to try to get reactions. I mean, people were singing it with them. And even when there was a couple notes that he made it Flava Flav, probably knew he couldn't hold the note, so he cut a little short and then put his own little Flava Flav twist to it. People were into it. So, hey, if nothing else, shouts out to Flava Flav. You checked it off your bucket list. You did something a lot of people don't have the balls to do. You made it yours. You didn't forget the words. You weren't disrespectful in any way. You didn't make a mockery of it because, some people take that song uber serious. And it just shouts out to you. I used to hear stories about my one of my grandparents back in the day. My grandpa, he came back from World War II. And, back then, back in the 60s, 70s, like that, them dudes come back from World War II in the war, they took the national anthem serious. So I've always heard stories about one of my grandpas, like, if you didn't stand or you know how kids are, like high school kids. If you were talking or you're laughing, they said he would go off on people at high school football and basketball games, like ready to fight and fight their parents if they weren't standing, taking their hat off, or disrespecting the national anthem. But that's somebody that was in World War II, saw a lot of his friends die, was on a Navy ship that got sunk. So there's some PTSD going on there, just a little bit. But, yeah, so nowadays I don't think we take the national anthem as serious as we used to. But, yeah, shout out to Flava Flav, man. You did your thing. The other big thing I watched over the weekend was the Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou fight. I'll be honest with you. Going into it, I didn't take it serious. I didn't think Francis Ngannou had a shot. I didn't think he had a snowball chances in hell to win that fight at all. I thought it was going to be very similar to like a Jake Paul when he fought like a Ben Askren or Tyron Woodley type deal. I thought it would be competitive to a certain extent for a few rounds, but then I thought Tyson would just start picking them apart later on in the fight, similar to what Floyd did to Conor McGregor. So I will say, I do think it's, I don't want to say easier. I think it's more, it'd be more of a natural, how you can say it, progression to go from MMA to boxing. Because MMA, you're kind of using all facets of fighting, using your legs, your arms, there's locks, but you still are somewhat boxing. And boxing is just boxing. You just got to focus on the hands. No feet, no chokes, no knees. So no elbows, which was funny because Tyson Fury threw an elbow in this fight. It's crazy. So I do think when they say boxers won't transition as well into MMA, I think that's so true. I don't think you can ever find a boxer to go in and challenge an MMA fighter for their title right off the bat. But MMA to boxing, it's a little more feasible because they are using boxing in their training every day. So I didn't give him a shot. So I might be in the minority here. A lot of people think Ngannou got robbed, just completely robbed. I watched the fight, and then I watched it again. And I don't think he got robbed. I think the decision could have went either way. I think there was I counted 3 rounds that Tyson Fury clearly won, 3 rounds that Francis Ngannou clearly won, and the other 4 could have went either way. Either way, you could have scored it. So I think like the first 2 rounds, every judge would probably give it to Tyson Fury just because he seemed to be jabbing and Ngannou wasn't really doing anything. 3rd round, which could have been which was a 10-8 round, Ngannou knocked him down. He wins that. And then the 8th round, Ngannou definitely won. And then there was it was like round 9 or 6 or something. It seemed like it was kind of boring and Tyson was just jabbing him. Here's what I know about this fight. Tyson, I don't care what he says, Fury, he didn't take it serious. He definitely wasn't in the best shape. I think he got caught, and then he went, oh, shit, I don't want to be the embarrassment. I don't want to ruin my legacy. So I just think he fought not to get knocked out or knocked down again. And I think Ngannou was just measured, took his time, and it was like a real life Rocky story. That's all it was. It was just reversed. Ngannou was Rocky, and Tyson Fury was Apollo Creed. And remember in Rocky, Apollo wasn't taking it serious, public training sessions, things like that, and then all of a sudden Rocky comes in, almost beats him. He's like, I need the rematch, if nothing else. I think that's what Tyson Fury should do to right or wrong in his world. Because I don't care. Well, I don't care how much money you make. I don't care that you won the fight. In the court of public opinion, a lot of people are saying you lost. And if you got any kind of ego or pride about you, which he does, he wants to run that back. Ain't nobody trying to see Usyk and Fury now. Nobody wants to see Ngannou really fight anybody. We want to see Ngannou fight somebody else, but I think you run that back. And I think if you run it back and Tyson takes it serious and really gives it a full training camp, and the only way to right that wrong in Tyson Fury's eyes is to knock Ngannou out. It won't be a decision because I heard some people say he ruined Tyson Fury's legacy. It ain't that steep, but it did take a hit. I mean, Ali, he did some crazy stuff in his career fighting people. I mean, Ali lost to Leon Spinks. Leon Spinks had like 9 fights. And then he came back and beat him. He right the wrong. So it's just like, I think you run that back. And I think Tyson Fury focused. Tyson Fury with the real training camp, realizing what he's getting into, and now he's felt Ngannou's power. He's got tape on him. I think Tyson Fury mops him in the rematch. And I like Ngannou. I love everything about his story. I love him as a person. He seems very polite, cordial, open to fans. Because UFC used to, well, they still do. They got the embedded. I used to love it when he was getting ready for Stipe and his other fights. Like, they'd show him running like in Big Bear or Lake, I think it was like Tahoe or Big Bear. And he'd like see kids playing and he'd stop and take pictures. So, yeah, and Tyson Fury seems like just a fun guy to be around. But I think if they rematch it, the money goes up. Everybody wants to see it. You do it in Saudi Arabia again, and then you just I think Tyson just – I think he rights the wrong. I think it's he knows what he's getting into because there's no way. He said I gave him a 12-week camp. I think he said all the right things, not to disrespect Francis Ngannou, but I don't think he took him serious. I think it was like straight up like Rocky, like Apollo Creed and Rocky 1. And honestly, like Rocky when he fought Clubber Lang, when he was doing all the public stuff. Remember the bubbles? And Mickey was like, we got to take this serious. This guy's in the jail. I think this was more like that because the white guy was Francis Ngannou was Rocky. Yeah, that was more like not Rocky 1, but Rocky 3. This was straight up. Fury was just boom, boom, living the life, silk sheets, got the reality show, ain't taking it serious. I'm really looking forward to this Usyk fight. And Ngannou, you didn't see much videos of him training. All you heard was Mike Tyson's training him. He took that shit serious. You know what it reminded me of? There was when I was in high, and this goes back to what a just physical freak Francis Ngannou is. Because they say like, all the MMA people now can show that, you got to take a serious. Boxing's dead. I go, no. There's freaks of nature out there. There's just freaks of freaking nature. You watch the Bo Jackson story and how he didn't lift weights. He was just naturally ripped and could run a 3.940. I'm exaggerating. Things like that. You just hear these stories of these physical freaks. And that's what Ngannou is. He is a physical freak. He's not normal. I've never seen him. Nobody's ever seen him get knocked out. We've seen him get rocked, like slightly wobbled. Stipe slightly wobbled him. He's got caught a couple times, but never really seen him close to going down or getting knocked out. I could be wrong, but I ain't seen it. And so you got a guy like that built like a fucking shit brick house or brick shit house, whatever one of my grandparents used to say. I'm gonna look it up real quick and see if he's ever. I don't think he's ever got knocked out. Let me just check real quick. Francis Ngannou. Where's your fight? Here it is. Win. He's lost. Lost a unanimous decision to Derek Lewis. Lost to Stipe. Damn, that was 5 years ago. He fought Stipe. Almost 6. That's crazy. Lost a decision. Yeah, dude's never been knocked out. Not even close. Nothing. Never lost by submission. So, yeah, nothing. God, guy's a monster. So he's just a physical freak. It reminds me of, okay, so when I was in high school, and I wrestled 2 or 3 years in high school, and we had this guy, his name was Noah Kuranga from Africa. Him and his brother Adebayo. Adebayo and Noah Kuranga moved to the small town of Oxford, Ohio. Their family, I think, were Seventh-day Adventists and straight from Africa. And he came out for the wrestling team. And so in high school, when you wrestle, you have these things called wrestle-offs. And that's how you find out who's going to be varsity and who's going to be JV. So we had this wrestle-off. We had this one kid. His name was Jason Garrett. He was such a good wrestler, right? So Noah comes in, this kid from Africa who's just, they're wrestling at like 112 pounds. So both these guys are little, but Noah is just a little tiny muscle. There's not body fat on him anywhere. And honestly, when you're 15, 16, there's not body fat anywhere. Anyways. So he does the wrestle off with Jason Garrett. Now, keep in mind, year before, Jason was like a freshman, made the varsity, did pretty good. We're expecting great things from Jason his sophomore year. And it ended up Jason ended up going to state his senior year. I mean, he placed. He did really good. And going to state in Ohio is no joke. So, but we all saw it coming. Jason was a really good wrestler. So his sophomore year, which Noah was a junior or senior, but he never wrestled before, they wrestle off, and Noah pins Jason. And we went, what just happened? And I remember Jason was mad. He threw off his headgear. He was like, he ain't better than me. And then Noah was just strong. And he was kind of holding Jason around, and Jason couldn't do nothing with him. Similar to Ngannou. Reminds me of Ngannou. You can't do nothing with him. He's just a big muscle. To the point where ended up, in high school, anybody knows wrestling, you switch weight classes a lot. Boom, boom, boom. So Jason would go up to 119, or Noah would go to 119. They should have done to 112. Our coach was actually kind of smart. He knew Jason was really good. We got to have him varsity somewhere. And we knew Noah was going to beat people just because physically he was just stronger than a lot of people the same size as him. There was one wrestling match, and I'm not lying. Noah had no idea what he was doing, and the coach was telling him what to do. Noah was basically holding this kid down and was looking over at our coach and was asking him, like, what? Because he had an African accent. And the kid, he was just arms and legs moving, and he can't do shit. And Noah's just holding him. I go, God, that kid's so goddamn strong. And then the funniest thing about this kid, Noah Kuranga, wrestling, we got these invitationals. Anybody's ever been to high school wrestling matches, you got these things called invitationals where you're there all freaking day. And if you win, you keep going. And if you lose, you got to go in the loser's bracket. Most of these invitationals are 2-day things. It's like you go Friday night and you come back Saturday and wrestle all day. So, no, we get there Saturday morning. We do the weigh-ins. I go to the locker room, and Noah's sitting there, and he's got this gallon of vanilla ice cream. And I go, so he made weight, and he just started eating ice cream. And I said, Noah, is that ice cream? He goes, yes. He goes, would you like some? And I was like, no, I'm good. And then I looked at him and goes, well, last thing you want to eat is ice cream when you're wrestling. You're bubbling, you're farting, gassy. I said, Noah, what are you going to do when it melts? He goes, then we drink it like milk. It was the most African thing to say to a guy. I remember thinking, I don't know, I just like talking to him because his perspective was so different than mine. And I was one of them guys in high school, like, if you were different than me, I wanted to know about you. Regardless, that's why I think I always befriended. Honestly, like, if we had a new black kid at our school, I always went and tried to befriend him just because I wanted to know about him. We had a boys' home. I always tried to make friends with the kids at the boys' home at my high school because I just want to know their story. I just listened because they lived in a different area than me and grew up. But I was always just like that kid. Just I don't know. I always want to just get to know people. So Noah was just the best because he had great stories what I could understand. Because sometimes English was a second language, and I was so lost when he was talking. But it reminded me of that. It's just so funny. Like anybody that's been to high school wrestling, it reminded me of this weekend. It's funny how things came rushing back. I'd already planned on talking about Francis Ngannou and how it reminded me of Noah Kuranga, how it reminded me of the Rocky movies and everything. And I knew I was going to be in the minority when this airs. Like, I don't think that decision was an out-and-out robbery. I think it was close. I was cool either way. But I was like, there was 3 rounds Fury won, 3 rounds Ngannou run, and granted, one of the rounds was a 10-8 round, and I think the other 4 could have went either way. There really wasn't a ton of action, honestly. I think like Fury just didn't want to get knocked down again, so he was playing it safe. So, and then it's funny because Coloradao went to UCLA, and the locker room got robbed when they were playing the game at the Rose Bowl, and I was like, And you never hear of anybody going into college locker rooms and trying to rip them off because college kids ain't got a lot. But now with the NIL, they got a lot. And Dion's kids quick to show that watch off, and other kids got these NIL deals that are being posted, which isn't right. You don't go in and rob somebody. But it reminded me of when I was at one of these wrestling invitations, and when you get robbed, when somebody steals something, you feel so freaking violated. And I feel so bad for those Colorado kids that got ripped off. And where was the security when all this happened? To me, somewhat of an inside job. I think when that happens, I think somebody's got an in. And it's weird that Colorado gets robbed. And then remember when Dion was at Jackson State, he said somebody robbed him during a game. I don't know what the deal is with people trying to rob Deion's teams, no matter where he's at, but it's weird because you never hear about it happening to anybody else. It's just odd. So I remember I was at one of these wrestling invitationals, and man, this is when everybody got the starter jackets, you know, back in the early 90s. And I had a Georgetown one. And my mom never got the right shit. Like, remember when there was a shoe called Eastland that was in? And I said, Mom, I want to get some Eastland shoes. Can you please, Christmas, all I want is Eastland shoes. She got me shoes that look like Easton's, but they was called Benchmarks. I don't know what the hell Benchmark was. They were called, and I got dragged when I wore those to school. Everybody like, Benchmarks? Well, you sitting on the bench anyways because I wasn't playing. I was like, this hurts. So I wore those shoes like twice and threw them out. But there was also the time when everybody had them starter jackets. And I kept begging my mom. I was the biggest, like, Georgetown fan because I started watching college basketball when Patrick Ewing was at Georgetown, and that became my team, and then it moved on to Alonzo Mourning, Dikembe, Allen Iverson. Back in the day, Georgetown had the squads. And I said, Mom, I really want a Georgetown starter jacket. And she ended up getting me, it wasn't starter, and it wasn't the Georgetown where you saw the Georgetown, like, cross the thing. It had the G and the Hoya in it. It looked like it could have been made in Mexico, but I looked at it like, okay, it doesn't say Georgetown, but it's got the colors, it's got the mascot, so I could just say G like Gary, custom made for me. I'll work with it. So I go to this wrestling invitational, Lebanon High School in Lebanon, Ohio, which, by the way, that's where Woody Harrelson went. I don't know, I'm just full of knowledge today. And I go, I wrestle my match, I come back to my locker, and I didn't have a lock. And granted, naive, small town. I ain't got nothing. I ain't got no money. I got my clothes in my locker, and that's it. Somebody took my fucking jacket. When I tell you, when I realized my jacket was stolen, I opened every locker that was open. I went through everybody's shit. I walked around that whole school looking for somebody with that jacket on or somebody that might have a bag that was full of something. Then I went to the parking lot. And I looked in everybody's cars. I was like, I was so sad because I only had the jacket for like a couple weeks. Because I'll never forget, this invitation was in January. I got it for Christmas. And I remember thinking just how violated and pissed I was. So I can't imagine what Deion's team was feeling like when they came in and their real clothes were gone. Not the knockoffs. I'm sure everybody at Colorado had the real clothes. They didn't have no benchmarks. They didn't have the G with the Hoya that didn't look like the normal Hoya. Ugh. I wonder why my mom never got it right. I was so happy with that jacket, though, because I was like, well, she got the color right. And I could say it stands for Gary, not Georgetown. And then when I walked in, it was gone. Oh, because it's weird when your stuff gets stolen in a place that you feel like should be secure, you literally go searching all over like this ain't happening. I must have opened and closed that locker 10 times that morning. I remember just like, shh, and I lost. I mean, it was like a double whammy. Just got my ass kicked in wrestling. Then I go to the locker room, and it's gone. And I don't know where Noah was with the ice cream, but I would have drank it. I would have drank it like milk that day. So anyways, I don't know what happened to it to this day. So whoever stole my knockoff Georgetown Hoya jacket, I hope your life didn't turn out like you thought. Yeah. I hope your wife's fat. I hope your kids are ugly. I hope your car broke down on the way to work in the middle of a snowstorm. And, yeah, I hope you got fired. I hope you have a prison record. And I hope you file for bankruptcy and are on welfare. I hope you don't have dental insurance and your teeth are fucked up. So, yeah, I'm not over it at all. Assholes. Had to be a two-man job. There's no way. There was too much there's what do you call it, footwork? There's too much traffic in the locker room because all the wrestlers, we dress in the same locker room. There's too much traffic. So it had to be somebody looking out and then somebody stealing the jacket. So it was a knockoff, but somebody walked me into that gym, was like, I want that G jacket. So, yeah, whoever took it, whatever. I know your life probably isn't what it should have been, and mine's probably immensely better than yours. I take a little pride in that. All right. It's funny because I saw a guy that used to bully me in high school. I never bothered people. Yeah, I never was a bully. Never. This one guy for some reason, didn't like me my sophomore and junior year of high school. He's a year older than me, so he kind of left me alone my senior year. When I say bully, I don't mean he was touching me. He was always just making stupid-ass comments and bagging on me and stuff and always threatening to fight me. And he was bigger than me, which didn't help. And I just remember I saw him like on Facebook about 7-8 years ago. And oh, my God, I can't believe I found him. And when I found him, his life turned out like I hoped. His car was broken down the driveway. His house looked like it was a piece of shit. His wife was fat and unattractive. Kids didn't look good either. I was like, all right. Well, I won. I won that one. So, I'm not going to say his name, but I was so happy. Deep down, I was happy. I was like, oh, his life turned out like I hoped on the low. He's just a dick in high school. I don't know why he's always picking on me. So anyways, enough about that. This weekend, San Jose, California, I'm at the Improv filming my special. We titled it On My Own. And, yeah, so come out. We'll be filming Friday and Saturday. We'll have a show Sunday. And, yeah, I said, yeah, I watched my podcast back and I was going, yeah. So, yeah, got to stop that. A lot of people say, I say, yeah. So, got to stop that. So, I will see you guys. Let me see anything else I want to talk about. That's it. Bengals, we got the Buffalo Bills this weekend. Boom, baby. We bought Burrow looking good. Jamar Chase looking good. Woo. Glad I got all this Bengal gear on. Then we got who we got Buffalo, and then we got Houston, and then we got Pittsburgh. That's the next couple games. So we off and running if we win this week. Oh my God, dude. So excited to be a Bengals fan. All right, y'all. That's all I got. I'll see y'all next week. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some Podcast.